Hey guys, it's Chris. I just wanted to add a quick note at the top of the episode. The following chat contains topics that might be sensitive to some viewers. I want to issue a content warning for discussions of animal harm and abortion. If for some reason listening to us talk about these topics would cause you harm, please feel free to not listen to the episode, check out another one, or just practice some self care. You are the most important thing to us, and we want to make sure that you're doing okay. All right? So take care, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Only Lovers Book Club, where I get together with my best witches and we read romance and then we talk about it. And this month we read Magic Lessons by Alice Hoffman. Yes, I may have forgotten the title. I needed to look at the cover. We read this book because Tashai won it for us in an Instagram giveaway. And so we all got a sweet, sick copy. And yeah, this is our October read, and it's just fitting because it's like witches, magic. Before we get into it, just a couple of things. You can find the link to our tip jar in the description box. You can find the link to our important things going on in our lives, Drea's book links, Tashai's website, my zine and Instagram, and our Only Lovers Book Club Instagram. Go over there and check out our cool aesthetic pictures. You can also follow us on Goodreads, and if you are down to clown, I have a super not annoying newsletter because I forget to do it. So join us. I'm just saying, nothing to lose here. If you're on YouTube, we're all rocking a spoopy look. I'll go first because, I'm wearing my super cool Halloween haunted house knit sweater. I mean,
so detailed.
Spooky gay pumpkin. I love it.
There's so many tiny little stories happening on that sweater in one
scene.
scene.
There's a witch on my shoulder. That's cool.
Don't we all?
That's Faith. Living her best life. Drea is.
This is the look I would have if I was sitting at home by my fire at 11 waiting for people to come to me for the remedies, so it's like my cozy outfit.
We got a little bit of hot cider.
Hot cider, these beautiful rose earrings.
Also Sailor Jupiter cosplay.
Yes.
Yeah. I went to Walgreens to get allergy medication and then walked by the Halloween section, and they had this it's like a little bejeweled comb thing that has a black veil attached. And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect for when my loved ones go missing and I wear black and a veil in mourning until fate and not my fucking magic and or detective skills help me find them again.
So that's what we're wearing. That's what we're bringing, the theme of the party. And so, yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to read the back of the book to kind of put you in the right mindset. Spoilers, we're going to spoil the shit out of the book. So sit back, grab a cider, hang out, and listen to us talk about magic lessons. This is from best-selling author Alice Hoffman. She is, I know of her because of Practical Magic, right?
Yes.
The quintessential chick flick with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock, which was also a book, so that's how I discovered her. My favorite book of hers is actually one with it's called The Foretelling. It's a young adult book about Amazons. I read that.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how I know her. I have the second book in the series, right? This is the first one, and then the second one is The Rules of Magic, which I also buy. All my stuff I just buy it on Instagram auctions. That's it. And then after that comes Practical Magic. So she kind of worked her way backwards.
Yeah. I saw in an interview she did recently that she never planned to write Rules of Magic or magic lessons, but her audience kept asking for more information on the backstory of the family, and so she was like, okay, let me figure this out. Which is hard because if you didn't already have it planned out, it's you can see that there's some changes in characters and stuff because she did end up kind of having to backfill this history.
Yeah, hopefully she'll just stop Let's read the
No falta respeto.
But this is why it's good though, because you both went into it already like having read her before, and like this is my very first book of hers, so I went in completely with a clean slate. So probably the things that annoyed you guys didn't annoy me at all, because I have nothing to compare it to. I've never read Practical Magic, you know what I mean? So I've only seen the movie like once, so it's not even that, you know.
So the reason I love Practical Magic is because at one point we moved and then moved again, and we only had like very few things in our house, and we lost the remote to the television we had, and the remote for the control for the PlayStation wasn't working either. We only had a couple of DVDs, but we could only watch the ones that played automatically, like the ones that just start with the movie, and that one of them was Practical Magic. And that's why we have to watch that movie all the time. So I read this book I read Practical Magic a long time ago. So I don't remember a lot of it. I did enjoy this, but I have some topics that I'd like to discuss. So it goes.
Good.
Where does the story of the Owens bloodline begin? With Maria Owens in the 1600s, when she's abandoned in a snowy field in rural England as a baby. Under the care of Hannah Owens, Maria learns about the nameless art. Hannah recognizes that Maria has a gift, and she teaches the girl all she knows. It is here that she learns her first important lesson. Always love someone who will love you back. When Maria is betrayed by the man who has declared his love for her, she follows him to Salem, Massachusetts. Here she invokes the curse that will haunt her family. And it is here that she learns the rules of magic and the lessons she will carry with her for the rest of her life. Love is the only thing that matters. Magic Lessons is a celebration of life and love and a showcase of Alice Hoffman's masterful storytelling. I mean, I read that.
Well, I feel like I read that, but I would change a celebration of life and love to a mourning of life and love.
I agree.
Because I felt like this book was very just like sad thing 1, sad thing 2, sad thing 3, just like in an endless, you know. And I don't mind. I love sad things.
It was like sad thing. Oh, good things on the horizon. Oh, person makes dumb decision. Terrible thing happens.
I guess we can go around our overall impressions. Drea, you read the book first. You got the gold, so you go first.
Gold star.
Yeah. Like I said, I went into it not really knowing what to expect at all, because I've never read Alice Hoffman, and like I said, I only watched Practical Magic like once, so I didn't really know what I was getting into. I enjoyed it because I enjoy sad books. So overall, I enjoyed it. I really liked all the like mentions of the natural herbs and natural remedies and stuff like that. I felt like it balanced a lot of like what you would consider like traditional magic, like, okay, you legit cast a spell on someone, with stuff like, hey, these herbs are good for like headaches and cramps and stuff like that. So I really like that. I like the blend of kind of the plant magic and the more supernatural magic. I love the familiars because I'm all about, you know, animal companions. So yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really sad. I didn't love all of the characters. Honestly, I wouldn't say that I truly loved any of the characters at all. Like, it was a sad book, but I didn't cry at any point, if that makes sense. I feel like if I had loved the characters more, I would have maybe been more like, ¿Por qué te pasó esto? And I wasn't. It was more just like, man, your life sucks. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I didn't read it super quickly because it's actually a really long book. Like, it took me, I think you had the same thing. It like kind of took you longer. I'd like pick it up and stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't know that I enjoyed it enough to keep going. And this is that's just like a me thing. Like, I very rarely continue reading series. Like, I have to really, really love them. So I don't think like that's it for me. But I did enjoy the story. I didn't realize there would be so much like romantic love in this. Like I thought, okay, we're reading this because we wanted in the giveaway. But there was more romance in it than I thought. So that was surprising to me. I won't say that I was shipping the romances super hard, but they were there, and they were very romantic things. I mean, I'm sorry if someone traveled on a ship halfway across the world to bring me a living tree, I would marry them on the spot. I'd be like, this is the most romantic thing. Like, he brought you roses? Fuck that. He brought me a living tree from like 5 countries away on the ocean. He like could have gotten like scurvy to bring me this tree. So I really enjoyed stuff like that. So now, I mean, I think let's say it was probably like a 3.7, and I rounded it up to 4. So
I can go next if that's cool. So I also enjoyed the book. I didn't find it very long, but I did find that it took me a while to get through.
It felt long.
Yeah, it definitely felt long. And I don't know, I was really hype about reading it, but ultimately I found this book to be like really boring. I was bored a lot of the time. I felt like I guess that's also when you had mentioned, Tosh, that like, oh, she never planned on writing this book. And I'm like, I can tell there's no plan here. It's just like, I didn't. So sometimes, and I have read prequels before that have like really amped up the drama to the point where even though I know how it's going to end, even though, you know, I have an idea of like what the end point will be, I'm still stressed. I'm like, this in between is a complete mystery. And I felt like I didn't have anything to look forward to. Does that make sense? I felt like there wasn't like this big moment, this big climax of action, you know. You're right, it did kind of ebb and flow.
It's definitely more of a character book than a plot book.
Yeah, I have read other like witchy family sagas before. Like I read The Witching Hour by Anne Rice, and that spans like generation after generation, and it was just incredibly engrossing. Like I wanted to know every single detail about every single one of those characters. It was just really great. Whereas with this one, I just felt myself like going through the pages, and it's kind of like a breezy read in a sense too. Like it felt long, but when I was reading it, I felt like not much was happening on the page, and I felt really detached from the characters. I felt like I knew Maria, but I didn't like really know her. And I really felt that at the end, Dark Faith is when like the the book got pretty good. Like the stakes were raised. There were certain things that I did not enjoy, like the canon changing, especially with Maria's hanging. I felt like I'm going to just go by the movie scene. And I really enjoyed that scene in the movie where she jumps off she just jumps off or whatever. Someone kicks her off. She falls and the rope snaps, and then she just kind of sits there, and everyone is like, oh, everyone's like, oh, so horrified. And she like looks up and has a smirk on her face, like, you know? And I liked thinking that she did that. Well, psych, turns out her boyfriend did that. And I was just like, And also another thing that I felt was like, okay, I get it. It was so many recipes and so many lists and so many lessons, you know, like always remember that love is the most, but also love is the most, but then also love is the most, and then also love is the most. And I was just like, okay, like I got it. Like a classic like show don't tell type situation. I wanted to enjoy it more, but that's not to say that I didn't enjoy it. I would have just given it 3 stars on Goodreads. Just because it was all right. I would give this to my mom. I think she would like it. I'm sure white women love this shit, you know? But like, you know, just totally safe. There's a little bit of feminism in it. You know, we're not going to go too deep. We're not going to like really buck, you know, the system. We're going to say like women are smart and that's why we have to get rid of them. And then like leave it at that and have one Black person who was a slave in it. That's all we're going to do. Got it. So, overall, yes, enjoyed it, but I wanted to enjoy it way more than I actually did.
Word. So when I was like probably 3/4 of the way through this, I realized in the back that in the bottom it says uncorrected proof, and then also do not quote for publication without checking against the finished book. So I do wonder if some of this stuff got edited out.
Yeah,
maybe.
Because
I think that for sure it at least got like the list and stuff probably got organized in a more like pleasing way, at least, for sure.
Yeah, like the amount of detailing in some scenes, I appreciate it a lot, but in other parts, it's like I don't need to know all of this. Like I could go through with a pen if I had my like editorial pen in hand. I could cut so much of this world building, like historical writing out of it, because it's not stuff I'm gonna remember too. By the time we get back to people talking or what action I'm supposed to be following, I'm not gonna remember the last like 10 pages of world building. So I do wonder if like the finalized version had more of this stuff cut out of it, because that would 100% boost how much I enjoyed this book. From a plot perspective, it's not a perfect prequel because like you said, I live in a world where like she jumped off the hanging post and like broke the rope with her own like powers and then runs away and lives her life. Versus the guy comes in and switches the rope but like couldn't break her out. Like, you can switch the rope, but you couldn't somehow break her out of there more easily. And also the fact that her daughter gets kidnapped by this, like, Martha chick and then is gone for 5 years. Like, I understand this is the 1600s, but, like, Brooklyn isn't that big. Like, Manhattan wasn't that settled back then. I've seen maps. There were settlements in like the lower penis section of Manhattan, not all the way up the shaft. It was all like undeveloped land. They would sell it in portions, and then eventually, you know, black people bought land and then got kicked out, and the park got built. It was this whole thing. Like all of this chunk was not developed. People were living over here. How you gonna tell me it's 5 years later and you don't think to yourself, maybe I should check Manhattan? Like, you're in Brooklyn, you're not sensing her anywhere. There's a river. And there's a boat you can take to cross the river. Just take the ferry and like, let's see what you find. Anyway, I agree with Andrea. I didn't really love any character. I wish I had gotten to see more of Hannah, because she was like nature witch who didn't fuck with other people, helped people, took in a baby, stayed out of people's way, and then what did she get for it? And then what did she get for it? She gets fucking like nailed to her house and burned alive.
Oh my god.
I'm like, Hannah didn't bother anybody. She didn't like fuck with anybody. She stayed there.
Bunch of dicks.
Like that was like insane. That irritated me. I had such hopes for Maria as a character, and I wanted there to make more sense as to like why she would cast this kind of curse on her family of like, anyone who loves us, terrible things will happen to them. And then for it to be that she fell in vagina love with this random dude in Curacao, and they
square, man. He's a square. What's
talked for 6 days. Like, talk about falling for the goddamn Harry Connick Jr. of 1600s puritanical women hating. All these things kept happening where I was like, why are you not smarter than this? Like, you're hooking up with this dude and you're like, I'm gonna love him. You know so much about like herb and plant magic, and you can't make yourself a drink so you won't get pregnant. Literally, at one point in this book, it's like, blah, 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 to avoid a pregnancy.
Or the abortion tea.
Drink the abortion tea. Like, it's not that complicated. But she's like, well, I'm pregnant. I guess I'm going to sail to Salem to find this man who never wrote to me and disappeared because obviously he loves me and like we're going to be in a family relationship together. Like, girl, he goes.
But then you have the other guy who's literally bringing you trees from across the world for nothing in return, and you're like,
sorry, I already vowed.
Yeah,
I already vowed myself to another man who you haven't seen, who hasn't bothered talking to you, who knocked you up and left, and now you here is one of the like most well-known like witch killers in fucking Salem.
When I read that it was Hathorn, I almost threw this book away. I was like, you're not gonna do this to me, Miss Hoffman. You're not about to do this to me. And you know, it was stupid.
And then she did. Like I hated that whole love situation. I hated how they chose like eventually I got to a point where I was like, no one would choose to keep like punishing themselves this way. Like, I don't understand. Like, you're not getting anything out of this. It doesn't make any sense. And then instead of like leaving with her kid, she's like, well, you tell a witch to leave, she's gonna do the opposite. Guess what? I'm gonna buy a house here and I'm gonna see you every day. And my daughter's gonna see you every day. And we're never gonna leave, even though you keep hunting witches down. But I'm also not gonna lay low, and I'm gonna flout your Puritan rules and keep handing out magic spells, because like, what's the worst that can happen? Oh my god, she's gonna be hung. That's crazy. I'm so surprised.
Yeah, it was. I was surprised that the hanging was happening so quickly, and it happened really early on, and that's how I knew that the rest of the book was going to be a little flat for me, because that's like that's the pivotal scene, right? Even with the drama of like Hathorn being like her first love and her baby daddy, I still felt like that whole thing was so lukewarm and like pointless. You know, I still felt like that did nothing for me. You know, what you're saying, how the way you're describing it sounds way more intense and dramatic than me just reading about it, like flipping the page and being like, girl.
See, and then it was just like there were so many nuggets of stuff being very interesting, like the interaction with Hawthorne, her relationship with the sailor, her daughter being kidnapped and being kept away from her for so long, and like her magic development.
I wanted more chapters of Faith in her like Martha prison.
See?
Yeah, like when she was kidnapped and she was like sneaking out to like do spells in the backyard and she had her like cuffs. I was like, give me more of this.
Yeah, I will say that Faith, like I said, Faith and Faith trauma, like I felt like that was an appropriate reaction to something terrible happening to you. And I felt like that was the only like good character in that book. Maria has all this dumb shit happen to her, and she doesn't react in any way, shape, or form that, you know, like that she has
any sense.
Brain cells. She's just like, oh, I know all of these things, but yeah, I'm gonna act stupid with these really specific things, you know? Because like it's hard for a witch to see her own destiny. Come on. So when Faith is like doesn't turn out to be like a, you know, doesn't go right back to normal and then goes like dark side, you know, I was like, okay, I feel like this is like a good progression for someone. And here's the thing, I like Samuel, but I hated their on and off shit too. I was like over it. They were both like, it was like the typical novela.
Pero in this case, at least, it was 100% one-sided drama, because he would have settled down with her and been like happy forever. Like she was the one who kept being like, sí, pero no, sí, pero mitad. Sí, pero un cuarto. Yeah, no, not at all.
And then he kept,
okay, maybe no, just kidding.
Yeah, and he kept coming back. He kept coming back for that punishment too, because after a while, right? I mean, I would have just left. Or
it just depends on your personality. But wait it out, Andrea. I 100% would have kept bringing her trees and hoping.
Well, because the conversation is there. He knows about the curse, and he knows that she is pushing him away because of the curse, and still he acts all butthurt when she pushes him away. He's like, "Why are you pushing me away? Is it because of the curse?"
That's what I was annoyed about, though, because they kept saying like, oh, it's because of the curse, because if I love you or whatever, te vas a morir. But like they clearly already do. So like even if they had not been together, like according to the curse, he would like die anyways, a horrible death, because they both loved each other. So that was my thing. It's like, bueno, but if he's gonna die anyways, I might as well enjoy him before he dies.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so you haven't read
rules didn't always apply to every single situation. The rules were not consistent.
Yeah, like if you're gonna have rules, the rules need to apply to everybody. That's just the fucking most basic thing you can ask for. I'm gonna I haven't rated it yet because I want to write a review for it. I'm gonna give it 4 stars because I'm very invested in this universe, and if I could give it like 3.8, I would do that. But I'm gonna
rate it on Storygraph.
I'll copy paste the review and then just change the numbers. But even what you're saying right now, if you do decide to read another one of these books, Andrea, Rules of Magic is so much better because it does so much more for its characters. You get a lot more development for each character. The characters don't make nearly as many stupid ass decisions. Like, they kind of live their lives and then something bad happens and they, mourn what happened and try to figure out how to work themselves through it and rebuild themselves from it. Y sí pasa la situación donde they're like, bueno, this curse exists, but if we just don't ever say that we love each other, if we don't ever like put this bow on it, can we get away with living a life where we both know we love each other and it'll be okay? And there's like ways that they try to work around the curse.
I do remember that from the movie, from Practical Magic. I remember there being that little intro where it was mi bisabuela trató de hacer esto y se murió. Y después mi bisabuela hizo y lo atropellaron. Y después mi vida y se cayó en un charco. Like, I remember, you know what I mean? I remember the intro where like everyone's just dying one after the other.
I know, what an intro.
That's why I was like, what the heck is this? It's like, okay, con CPR, we annul the curse. Like,
yes.
That's okay. This is gonna be my last like rant. With all these recipes.
I started dunking as soon as
with all these recipes. Don't tell me you don't know how to make I'm gonna stop your heart for like 15 seconds tea. And then I'm gonna pour this other, I'm gonna make you live again tea.
Resuscitate.
To get your heart starting again. Resuscitate, yeah.
Resuscitate.
Yeah. Mátame tea.
Oh, no,
mata tea.
Even better. Resucite.
Excellent work. We hang out is over. We're done here. We're done. Bye. Let's get production go.
Like the amount of times, like Ivan would be reading his like Camus book next to me, and I'd be like, and I'm like making chicken sounds, and I'm interrupting his book just to be like, this woman is so stupid. I don't understand. Like, I'm so upset that this like woman of high regard in all these other books, it turns out she's just like a moron in so many ways for so long. Okay, I'm done with that. Anyway,
I think that we're talking about the intro to the movie. Those few scenes in the beginning of the movie were all I needed to know about Maria Owens. It's literally all, I needed to see her getting hung and given a smirk when she escaped. I needed to see her crying hysterically into the wind, like with her giant pregnant belly, and then that's it. That's all that happens. And then at the end of the movie, her wind blowing in the hair and being like, the curse is lifted. She would have never made that face because the curse didn't really affect her because she brought her boyfriend back from the dead with CPR. So
yeah, like that should have been un asterisk. Something terrible will happen to anyone who loves us. Asterisk.
Except Maria.
Life hack. Resucite.
Yeah. And I kind of wish. I mean, I think that maybe the book would have. I think that, I mean, I'm like, Miles Hoffman can write great books. Like, don't get me wrong. I just didn't like this one. But I think that this book would have been a great moment to rehash what happens in Practical Magic. Kind of like history repeating itself in a different way. Because the girls bring their boyfriend, the girls bring Jillian's boyfriend back to life, but they do it with a spell and it is like, you know, like shit goes off the wall. Wouldn't that have been like a great lesson to learn right to like not bring your boyfriend back from the dead, and like it somehow just didn't get passed down in time. You know what I mean? Like, and then her bring, and you know, it's like he's like a scary demon thing, and then Hathorn is being a pain in the ass, and like there's definitely potential for that conflict to be like more intertwined, but it just close. Problem, okay, we're done. Problem, okay, we're moving on. Problem, we're moving on. No steam at all.
Because even when they mentioned it in the book where it's like, you shouldn't bring back someone because what you bring back will be dark, it'll be evil. Where was that lesson learned? Like, who learned that? Who found that out and then was like, okay, guys, don't bring back any boyfriends or family members.
Yeah.
Something
with the love potions too. Like the 10th potion is supposed to be like la más intensa, but it like ends up working out great for Finley and Catherine.
Yeah. They're like, don't use it. It'll upset people. Will become obsessed, and they won't be able. And it'll be like, and the opposite of love is hate. And then Catherine's like, oh wow, he's like old, but like he was cute when he was young, and like I'm lonely. Okay.
No consequences. No contingency.
God. All right. So I guess that already answers, because I'd written down some questions. I said like, did this feel like it could be a? All right. So one of the questions was like, if you've read any of the other books, does this feel like it could be a standalone story? And I don't think if this existed outside of a world where Practical Magic as a book and movie existed, I don't think it would work as well, because all the time that is wasted with this like world building could have been used for like making a stronger story.
Yeah, well, I think that this book is actually a pretty good entry point for someone who doesn't have experience with the books, right? Because it can only get better after this. We're just going up and up and up, you know?
And it does, because Rules of Magic is so good. Like, I cried, okay? Like, I cried. I gave it 5 stars. I read it so fast.
You know what this book was missing too? It was missing sisters. It definitely was missing that, like, that component of sisterhood. That's like, it's key, right? And so I was waiting for her to have like Samuel's baby. I guess she was having the contraception tea after a while.
She learned her lesson.
Shit she did. Yeah, so like having those like that sister element, that was missing too. I was waiting for her to get pregnant again somehow. I was waiting for her sister arrives and to claim her, Rebecca's long lost whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, and I was like, oh, okay. So like I said, if this is the first book that you're reading from the series, I mean, cool. It's perfectly enjoyable, and if you continue reading, quality.
Oh, I just thought of another one. Preñate!
Ay, Dios mío. But then when you don't want the baby. Cágate for jodiendo la vida.
I'm serious, guys. Someone should pay me for this.
I'm hot.
Yeah. We got that thick ass sweater on. Okay, so I also had a question saying, because there's this big legacy surrounding Maria, like, how did we feel about her compared to the other books and in the movie? But I think, again, we all are kind of like, it's like I turned to Ivan at some point when she did another dumb thing, and I was like, reading this book is like that episode of Community where Donald Glover's just like, you should never meet your heroes. It can only disappoint you. Like, you should never meet your heroes because it's only ever going to disappoint you. And he, like, meets the person he likes. He's like, no! So this was my, like, you should never meet your heroes. Great. She was like, una morona. Okay. So, okay. This book has magic lessons, but it also has love lessons. What are some key love lessons that you think this book actually ended up teaching you at the end of the day? Did you get any worthwhile lessons from this book? Other than don't fuck a hawthorn?
All the animal companions get murdered, and that made me really sad. Like, every single one.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they don't die of a natural death.
no,
They're all just like
todos los
murdered.
matan. So if you are an animal, stay away from the Owens family.
Damn, when Keeper left Faith, I was like, damn.
Pero después volvió.
Yeah,
Y por imbécil, y por eso murió.
Yeah, he should have pulled a direwolf and just like stayed away until the witch huntings were done.
And really, if you think about it, Hannah's cat died because of the Owens family too.
Mm-hmm.
So literally every animal in this story.
Yes.
Man or beast, do not follow an Owens.
Mm-hmm.
Ay, Dios mío. Okay. All right.
So,
Wait.
to answer your question, I guess in like a really general way, like love makes fools of us all. Even, you know, like the matriarch that we all look up to, even she fell to the follies of love, vagina love, lust, libido, whatever, what have you. So I think that, you know, maybe no matter how smart you think you are, you know, when your emotions get in the way, there's literally nothing that can save you from making a complete and utter ass of yourself. Whether it's for good or bad, you know, sometimes that happens and it's cute and then you just, you know, you get married and that's just your story. Sometimes it's, you know, that you fuck this guy and he ended up like leading the witch trials. And so, you know, that's just how it is. Okay. And that kind of brings me to another thing where I feel like in the other books, and I'm sorry to have to compare, but I can't help but compare because it's, I know she can do it. So it's one of those things where some of the things, right? The whole issue with practical magic is that, right, it can be kind of passed off as coincidence, happenstance. These things just happen. It's just tragic. And perhaps it's just magical realism as opposed to actual supernatural events occurring. But, you know, there is, if there was like a fine brush, right, in the last two books, this 0.1 practical magic is like with a huge brush. It is magic. There is no doubt about it. There is no subtlety here. It's all magic.
Is she a witch or did she learn not to eat that one berry? Oh no!
It's like when she went to cure that little girl and she literally did not do a single thing of magic. She was like, mira, tienes cebolla, dale mucho fluids, and then she'll get better.
Chicken broth.
You know what I mean?
And they're like, witch.
And then the doctor's like, can't believe.
Yo, what the doctor's like, hey. And
You
she's like, have some of this tea that will make you stop loving me. And
I loved that. I did love that because he's like, you mean the leeches and the
Yes,
bone dust from other dead people didn't cure this girl? Yo, teach me.
But that makes me mad too, because if she was truly 100% all in about, I need Samuel to leave forever and we need to be apart so that he won't die, why didn't she make him that freaking tea? Why didn't she give him the tea so that he would just not love her anymore?
Love makes fools of us all. Well, Tasha, what lesson did you learn from the book? Did you learn anything? You had asked us, but did you have many like grand takeaways?
Some things just not worth it, you know? Maybe don't cross the ocean to find your baby daddy. Maybe stay where they're not hunting you.
Yeah, stay on a beautiful island. You think of what I've gotten to Massachusetts and been like, okay, what? It's cold here?
Yeah.
U-turn. Let's go back.
They were describing it. They're like, no one knows what a blue sky looks like. I'm like, oh, fuck. Nope.
I'm like, this over here now? Get the fuck out of here.
Nope.
That's
Never mind. He swam holding onto a dolphin. Here, women can't make eye contact. You know what?
I know where I want to live.
But honestly, that was another thing, though. They made it seem so rigid in all of its rules for women. But then I'm like, how did she not get hanged sooner? Because this lady was walking around in her red boots, her hair all over the place, doing
with
whatever.
her blue-ass skirt.
You know what I mean? Like, they made it sound like it was like no one dared cross the lines. But then she was doing this for like years.
You want to know why? Because I'm gonna go back to the movie. In the movie, she was fucking all those guys, and they protected her. they weren't after like trying to kill her. The reason why she was hung was because the wives were mad. And even at the hanging, they were like, honey, oh my goodness, best I ever had. You know what I mean? They were. So,
I didn't know that.
So and in the first part of the first part, you know, they're talking about it, and like Maria sounded like a big old slut. You know what I mean? And they're blowing kisses at her as she's like gonna, you know, as she's gonna get.
She didn't seem like that in this book.
No, so she's not, and that's
because she was being celibate for Samuel, who like, I mean, that's what I took it as. Is like she was like faithful to like him forever, because she would keep thinking about like, hi, I wonder what he's doing. Oh, here's this like beat up doll that I'm gonna carry for like 30 years, even though like this man means nothing to me.
Mm-hmm. So yes, I believe that it makes more sense that way, because if she's having sex with all the men in the town, then they're like, you know, and it's the wives that get her in trouble, not the dudes.
Yeah.
A superior story.
Yeah, because here, the only one that she's helping the wives with her like little potions, but she's not doing anything for the husbands. And you would think they'd be the ones to report this woman who's like not falling in line.
Yeah, you know? Or interfering with like sending men away or.
Yeah. So yeah, I was surprised it took so long. Like I was surprised it took Martha with her like, I am in love with this child, and like, which was like weird. Who does that? Who sees a kid and it's like, esa? Well, I guess that's how people adopt kids. Never mind.
Pero those are people who are like actively looking for kids.
Yeah.
Know that these kids need families. This woman goes to the store, sees a mom and kid shopping together. She's like, I'm gonna fuck up this woman's life.
Yeah. She's like, oh, take that kid right out of the carriage.
She wears red boots, and this little girl smiled at me.
I did believe the way that she kidnapped her, though, because I was almost kidnapped that way. I was with my me and my sister. My brother wasn't born yet. We were with my dad, and we were at the mall, and this guy like pushed into him and took my dad's wallet and my mom's. No, my mom wasn't there. It was just like my dad's stuff, like his wallet, his shopping bags, whatever he was carrying. And then like took off running, but like kind of slowly. And this lady was like, Mira, like I'll hold on to your girls. Like you go after him, you can catch him, like blah, blah, blah. Like, and for like a second, you know what I mean? And then, but he was just like, fuck that shit, you know? And then like, just like grabbed us really tight and then like started calling for the cops or whatever. And then later he found out, this was when we lived in Argentina. Later he found out that there was this ring of like of people who basically were kidnapping kids to sell their organs in the black market. Like they would like murder them and like sell their organs. And that was like their thing. So like if he had given me to that lady, my kidney would have gone one way, my heart
no, only lovers. No.
Oh my God. You have a lot of really intense things. All right. Did you because Faith she was a big player in the back end of the book, and she had crazy character development. Did you root for her brand of magic as she was doing her thing and like fucking wreaking havoc?
As a vegan, I cannot root for her brand of magic. However, I rooted for her as a person to like reach enlightenment and see what she was doing and like find her arc. Like I rooted for that. But little baby birds and like squeezing them.
I'm not saying you're wrong. It just was like as a vegan.
I read the part where she's like, I picked up a baby bird and it turned to ash in my hand.
I as a non-vegan while I did not approve of animal torture, killing, suffering, it's not like I was rooting for her, but I really got where she was going. Like I felt like she was in really intense pain. And I don't think that Maria was there for her in the way that she needed her to be. Like she wanted like, everything is fine. We're together now. We don't have to work on anything. To
be fair, she like spell blocked her.
Yes. But But yeah, so I wasn't rooting for her, but I got it, so I wasn't like not rooting for her. I kind of wish that she could have done it and just like crushed some flowers instead of like birds. But at the same time, like I got why she felt like, okay, this is fine. Like I'm in pain and I want other things to feel pain because I want my revenge on like the world. So I didn't approve of it, but I got it, and I'm glad that she stopped.
Now she can't do any magic.
She can't do anything. Ain't that some shit?
You know what? What made me mad though is like, I mean, I'm glad she stopped and she realized and yada yada. But like, I really wish she would have poisoned that guy.
Who? Hoffman?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It was like, if you were gonna, lose your magic, go out with a big bang and like murder the true villain of the
Witchfinder. Yes, do.
Also, she was living there for like a hot second. It wasn't going to be like she should have poisoned him right out the gate and then left and then go back to like she was there for a while.
I thought a bunch of terrible things. I was like, whoa, is this going to be like in some old boy shit where like she's going to like try to seduce him and then shame him? I didn't know where this was going.
I thought she was going to hook up with her like brother. For a hot second.
She was going to seduce someone. Like, like she was definitely going in dark lady. I don't know. Just saying. I wouldn't have put it past her. So I'm glad that nothing came of it, but just some like chicken bones and a pie, But it was also like a little anticlimactic. She's like, I don't want anything to do with you. But it's almost like cathartic for her. Of course, it wasn't enough. She kept going dark side, but it's part of her journey, which I got. It's confusing. Childhood trauma is confusing, especially when you're kidnapped. And you're forced not to use magic, and then you go back home, and everything's like, no, there's no like aftercare,
Gotcha.
I mean, she was basically tortured.
Mm-hmm.
She was, yeah. There was a lot of like torturing happening. That was very not talked about. But again, that would have been a whole other. That's a story that I would have wanted to read, and like her developing and her magic developing. I thought she just went like a little too far, like she went a little too out there. I was like, yes, and then she started going deeper into like animal torture, and I was like, no. Wait, stop, wait, like no, and then she like bites the bread and her tooth breaks. I was like, no.
Well, I know, hello, if that's not a sign, you know what I mean? But she's like,
she was mad. She was like, fine. See if I care.
No, I'm like, my limit was the tooth breaking. As soon as my tooth breaks, I'd be like, oh no. Oh, whoops. Sorry. Ooh, I get it.
Diente!
Andrea, yeah.
To grow it back. I can't stop. You brought this upon yourselves.
Great. I know not what I have wrought. What would be your go-to curse if someone like did you wrong and you were like, meh? What do you think your go-to curse would be? Because lately when people have been
no animal would ever love you again.
No animal would ever love
you? Like you wouldn't ever be able to have a pet. Random wildlife would attack you. Mosquitoes would follow you everywhere. But I'm thinking like if I think of like all my exes who like genuinely like did very hurtful things, they've all had pets that they adored. So like how awful would it be if one day the dog that you've had for 5 years just wakes up fucking hating your guts? That would be a terrible punishment. Yikes. That wouldn't actually like hurt anyone. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like physically hurting him. I'm not physically hurting anybody else.
Yeah.
But your dog just doesn't love you anymore.
Psychic damage for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Just birds on you constantly.
I guess I don't know. I guess I don't know. It would also be something along the line, not that absolutely soul crushing, but something that would be like everyday type. I just mean like something that's like, just like a super annoying. Like you love pizza. Pizza tastes like shit to you now. Can't enjoy it. Sorry.
Seria, like really small annoying things like that too, I think. Like never being able to get the shower at the right temperature. Like no matter what you do, it's always either too hot or too cold, depending on what you didn't want that day. Or anytime anytime you eat something, it's like missing something, but you can't put your finger on it, so you can't quite enjoy it.
Whenever you drive anywhere, the parking lots are always full.
That's just
You're just circling endlessly. Siempre tan lleno. I have so many good little charcoal-y ideas.
I mean, I'm hearing them and I'm scared.
But those were the questions I had.
It was good. It was good. It was good joke.
And I didn't like dislike the book. There's just like, if I could go in and like judge a couple of things. And so I actually ended up asking for practical magic at the library so that I can have it be like, okay, I read Rules of Magic at the beginning of the year, or I think end of last year. I read Magic Lessons, and I kind of want to just like...
let's talk about our next book. So the next book that we're reading, this is our November pick. That's Andrea's pick, and it is called Heart and Hand by Rebel Carter.
I basically was just like, I don't know how I found it. I was looking at like random lists on Goodreads, and then I saw that Talia Hibbert like raved about this on Goodreads, and I was like, actually at that point I had only read that one novella by hers, but that I really loved, with the werewolf, and yeah, she like seemed to really, really like it. I mean, so much. She's like on the cover of the book. That's her little blurb.
Yeah, she blurbed it.
So I was like, okay, how am I weird? And basically,
read the back so we know what it's about.
It says, can a mail order bride find love with 2 husbands?
Pause. I just want to say that I have never been more excited about Andrea pick in my life. Like, you picked some good books, but like, I'm really excited about this one. That premise.
It doesn't take long for Julie Baptiste to realize that she yearns for more than the nonstop engagements and niceties dictated by New York high society. So she decides to do something bold and answers an advertisement for a mail order bride in Gold Sky, Montana. Would 100% do that. Hello, I get to have horses. Bye, New York. Hello. Ex-Union soldiers Forrest Wicks and William Barnes have been inseparable since the war. They share everything, including the desire to find a wife, a woman who is willing to marry them both and provide the isolated town with a much-needed teacher. I'm saying, the book was written about me. When Julie arrives in Montana, the 3 of them must figure out how to navigate the boundaries of their new lives. Can Forrest and Will come together to provide what Julie needs and protect the heart of the woman who's made her way into theirs? And how will a debutante turned teacher manage frontier life with 2 husbands?
I'm really excited about this book. I think it's really racy. It sounds racy as fuck, but I'm excited to read their poly dynamic.
So I will say, like, based on like Talia's review, like, they're definitely not the reason I'm so interested is because it's not just like everybody fucks everybody kind of thing.
No, I didn't think
it's like they're just like really best friends who like don't mind being like near each other naked while they both like pleasure her, and it's they're not like gay with each other, but they don't mind if people think they're gay with each other because they're just so comfortable in their friendship.
I'm already refreshed.
It just sounds really sweet.
Thanks for sticking it out with us. Like I said, if you've made it this far, you can leave us a tip. You can check out our links. Check out our Instagram at Only Lovers Book Club. We will see you next month. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Anna.
Bye.